Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time, when you're under the blood, them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a old dirty thief, so we mash up your plans with only one sprinkle. If you feel in pain, the blood of Jesus break every chain and remove our sin. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When the Vicks and the bush can't fix this, the blood of Jesus remove all sickness, all asthma and all arthritis. In the name of Jesus we bind it. Jesus is the answer. The blood of Jesus beat out the cancer. Break every chain and remove all stain. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When we plead the blood, principalities get trampled. When we plead the blood, generation curse get dismantled. So cover your children and them, your unsafe family members and them. Christ died on the cross for all of them, so start pray for them. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus for your healing. Cover yourself from the floor to the ceiling. The blood of Jesus from your neighbor. Let the world know Christ is the Savior. I know you might find this funny. Plead the blood of Jesus over your money. Even before the payday, complete the blood so the money can't done. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Yes. Hey. Blood of Jesus. Blood of Jesus. Blood of Jesus. Oh God.
Blessings and good afternoon to all of you wonderful listeners of 103.1 FM. This is Team Family, and we are back, myself and Adonna. In just a bit, we are going to have a guest up with us. All right, so it's such a pleasure. Adonna, how are you doing today?
I am very well. It's really a privilege to be back with you today on Team Family. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners. And we want to thank God that we can, take this time to share with our listeners this afternoon.
All right, you'll have to say that again, because I think your mic was off.
Yes, I know. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Team Family. It's really a pleasure for us to be here with you this evening. We are so glad that you could join us. And so stay tuned with us. We have a lot in store for you this afternoon. So just be a part of it. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right. Okay. So, guys, again, welcome. This is Team Family. It's all about the team. Remember what the TEAM stands for?
Together, we educate, affirm, and motivate families.
All right. So that's what we're doing today. We're educating, we're affirming, and we're motivating families. That's what Team Family is all about. We want families to be built up. We want relationships to be mended. We want families to come together and work as a team. All right, guys. So even before we begin, we want to start right. We're going to start with prayer. So let's just bow our heads wherever you are. Well, if you're driving, you can't bow your head, but you could at least, join us as we pray. Father God, we just commit this session before you. We thank you for this opportunity, Lord, just to discuss matters pertaining to your kingdom and your people. Lord, we ask for the Holy Spirit, oh God, to just guide our discussion today. Spirit of God, we welcome your presence. We know you are here with us, and we ask for your wisdom and guidance in our discussion. We give you thanks, and we commit this session unto you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. All righty. Okay, so guys, today we are talking about menopause. All about menopause. All right, very interesting topic.
Yes, and the last time we were here, we were talking about midlife crisis,
Right.
and we dealt with the psychological aspect of it, where it affects your confidence and your sense of identity,
Right.
and all of those things, and how it affects both men and women.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when you reach that midlife age of 40 to
Yes,
65, that
yes.
area. So it was, really something that people need to understand when they reach around that age, why certain things are happening into
Yes,
them, and they don't
changes
quite
in your body.
understand.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to continue.
Yeah.
I know we had a break last week because we were talking about teenage pregnancy last week.
Yes.
But just continuing from the week before,
Right.
we're going to deal a little more with the physiological aspect of this area of midlife crisis
Right.
today. And so we have a special guest with us.
And I think no better person than you to introduce the guest for today.
Yeah, the guest is my sister, Aloma Bain Street. She is a health promotion officer, and she's here to share with us more about midlife crisis and what happened in this physiological aspect of it. And I will just like to welcome her.
All right. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here, part of the team family. Yes, team family. And it's so important that we put the information out there, that people understand what they're going through. The whole awareness is created so people know, how to deal in certain situation. And I've been listening to this program. It's really enlightening and, informative. And I think we really do need sessions like this.
Oh, yes.
And the way it's going out, that you don't, people just, you stay at home and you hear get the information. I have been going to like church groups in the individual churches itself, but now this is an opportunity where you can go widespread and not just to the isolated church. So I'm very grateful to be part of this. Thank you for having me. And good afternoon to the audience.
All right. Okay, so it's a pleasure to have you, Aloma, on our program, and especially that you have, I'm sure you're going to be knowledgeable about the topic. We would like to go straight into that topic of menopause. All right, we want people to be, educated about these things, because a lot of people go through things in life. A lot of women, they start going through changes in their body, and it's like they're unaware of what's happening. So when you're knowledgeable and educated about these things, you can handle it better. So can you tell us a little bit about menopause? What really is menopause?
So, I'd just like to introduce and say that menopause and andropause, which is similar to menopause, but andropause occurs in male, menopause occurs in the female. The symptoms are similar. So menopause is the time when the females change from being productive to non-productive. Okay. It's a time when the hormone estrogen is decreasing in the woman, and so she's not able to reproduce. The menses, her period, ceases, and that occurs mainly between the age 40 to 50.
Okay. All right.
So just to go on to say, the andropause now is similar, but it's the testosterone in the male become deficient.
Okay. So this is all about hormones.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
So deficiency in hormones, at some point,
yes.
Our bodies may stop, will stop producing these hormones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the men, they don't totally stop producing.
Okay.
For the female, the estrogen goes down and it will stop producing the eggs. You remember, for you to have a pregnancy or for you to have menses, a period, you have these estrogen and progesterone coming into play, and then the egg is released, and that's how a woman become pregnant if she has sex during the period when the egg is released. The egg meets the sperm, and that's how you get a zygote or a offspring.
Okay.
Right? But in this case now, the eggs become, they don't produce anymore. The eggs are not. But for the men, they still do produce
Okay.
some testosterone, but not at the level to have a pregnancy or to fertilize an egg.
Okay.
But it's decreased.
Okay. But, I know in growing up we have a little bit of knowledge. You might, be in class. You might do biology at school. You might read certain books, and you're told that, for women, I know we're born with a certain amount of eggs.
Yes.
All right. So I guess as much at some point those eggs, they are no more to be released. So I'm thinking maybe at that point of menopause.
Menopause.
No
Period
more-
stop.
Yes.
Yeah, no more eggs. Sometimes just before you get into that stage where there is no more eggs, sometimes you have abnormally shaped eggs because the estrogen level, the estrogen and progesterone, which is responsible for releasing the eggs and maturing the eggs, the levels are not significant for it to be matured in a healthy fashion to cause pregnancy
Okay.
or to have a good egg that will be fertilized.
Okay. All right. So this is all interesting, guys. This is interesting, especially the part because, many people think that this period, this menopause thing, well, they call it menopause for women, as you
Yes.
said, and
Andropause.
andropause for men. So people normally think it's just a ladies thing. No.
No.
All right. Men go through something very similar.
Of
All
course,
right.
yeah.
So menopause for women, andropause
Andropause for men. Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
so we're learning something today.
Yes, and so the male organ, the gonads or the testes, is where you get the sperm maturing. The testosterone is the hormone responsible for maturing the egg, the sperm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
as we're talking about the menopause and andropause. How do you know? How do you know as a woman, all right, that you are either nearing menopause or you're actually going through menopause? Are there some symptoms, some things that we can look out for that we can say, we can pinpoint and say, okay, this is menopause, or maybe it's not menopause, or
Okay.
what can we?
Okay, so generally, the hallmark of menopause for female and, similarly for male, it's the hot flashes. We both experience hot flashes.
So hot flashes is not just a woman thing.
No, it's not just a woman thing. The both male and female experience it. And I did not get much of it, but this feeling that extra heat, that extra warmth from like inside of you.
Okay.
You get this heat and you start sweating, profusely, not little sweat, profuse sweating, right? So that hot flashes is the hallmark, the first thing that a woman may notice that will tell her that possibly she's going to cease having a period. The period become irregular too. It's not as regular, and sometimes it's further apart, or sometimes it's just the pattern is not maintained that you're used to. So it becomes irregular. You become irritable. Very irritable. Sometimes the woman is depressed. The women are become very depressed, and then you start having like enlarged or painful breasts. The breast will sometimes become very painful. With the irritability and the mood swings, you tend to have these things, and you're wondering with what is going on. Loss of interest in sex. So you're wondering with, I'm changing.
Okay. Can I ask just a question? Seeing that you're naming some of those symptoms there, going back to the okay, you have irregular periods or you don't see a period or you said tenderness of breast. How do you know you're not pregnant?
Well, you will have to rule it out. You will have to rule it out because they do have cases, where people become pregnant during the period they're experiencing menopause. Now, menopause go in phases. You have the perimenopause period where you're getting all these symptoms, but the period has not totally ceased.
Okay.
And because of that, now you can still become pregnant.
Okay.
Yes, so you have to do the test to rule that out. Yeah, and we have known that people have become pregnant during the perimenopausal period.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to do a pregnancy test because, as you say, the tenderness of the breast is a sign, a possible sign, could be pregnant.
Yes.
The most time when you're pregnant, the period stops. But we have heard of cases where the period doesn't stop.
Okay.
Yes, so you must rule it out.
All right.
Yes, and for the men, it's same thing. The irritability, the loss of muscle mass, depression, reduced ability to exercise. The muscles doesn't feel as strong as it used to, so they get this kind of weakness. And so similar symptoms, mood swing and all of that. Men get it too.
All right. Do they have loss of sex drive as well?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
All right.
But for the men now, men fight against that, accepting that. So that's where you see, they say men crisis. They talk about men crisis where the man gets out, he start changing his style, his mode of dress.
Right.
He changes that. He would buy a race car.
Yes.
He dresses differently because things are happening to him that he is not comfortable with.
Right. So
Yes.
it's psychological
So
as well.
psychologically trying to react to
Yes.
prove that I'm still
Yes,
man.
yes, I
Yes,
understand.
but they don't really accept that these changes are occurring.
Right.
And two, the research on menopause for female, andropause for male, the more research have gone into menopause, is only lately they start talking about andropause and male menopause. So it's not something that has been accepted, before. It's just research, late research. They're recognizing that men are having similar symptoms and due to the decrease in testosterone.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
So guys out there thinking that the menopause thing, the all of these symptoms, oh gosh, these women and them, they're going through this period of menopause, it happens to you as well.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so be educated this afternoon and understand that it's not just the ladies that go through this. Men go through similar symptoms. She mentioned the hot flashes, so the feeling of hotness is like a heat inside of you. I could imagine. I have some, older friends that, it's like, oh gosh, they can't. It's like, oh gosh,
Yes.
AC not enough.
Yes,
If there's no
yes.
AC, it's like, oh gosh, this place is too hot. I can't manage. So the hot flashes, the depression, the irritability, all of that.
One of the main thing that happened to the fat, the weight increased. Men and women get the weight increase, but they tend to get a lot of redistribution of the fatty tissues.
Okay.
So you see they get very fat around the abdomen,
Okay.
and
Right.
some people lose their shape.
Mm-hmm.
It was bouncing around nice and sexy looking at one time.
All right.
Start pouching out, but the hip look as if it's shrinking.
Okay, so seeing a shape.
Yeah.
So
it
this is
is-
something that causes a lot of frustration.
Oh yeah,
in
it's
the-
frustration for dressing, and then you're used to your body being a certain way, and now you have to readjust to that.
Okay.
Are we getting feedback?
This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is all interesting. So it's not just because I used to think menopause is just okay, a period stop, and I used to think okay, it's just this hot flashes thing, but it has a lot more to do with a lot of different symptoms and a lot of things happening, body changes, and so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, my tech is telling me that my mic is very low, so I'm trying to make sure that my mic volume is up.
Yes, it's better
Yeah,
now.
it's better.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm hoping that I'm loud and clear now. All right, so we're talking menopause, we're talking symptoms, we're talking andropause. Interesting topic. Guys, don't forget, you are welcome to ask questions. If there are any comments that you'd like to share, maybe an experience that you've had, maybe with a friend or your own self with menopause, andropause, you can share with us. Feel welcome. Don't forget, number is 403-1031. So if you'd like to send a text to us via WhatsApp, 403-1031, or you can text us if you're on YouTube or on Facebook. You can text us directly. All right.
So I want to go on to say that clinically, diagnosis of menopause is made after you have had 12 months of no period.
Okay. All right. So if somebody missed their period for 6 months, they can't say for sure. Okay.
For sure. No.
Okay. So
No.
it must be 12 months or more.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Sorry, 1 year. Exactly.
1 year.
Alright.
Yes, 1 year.
Okay, we have some comments coming in here, and let me just share them quickly. All right, somebody's. All right, so a brother is saying, let's focus on the woman today because we're talking about menopause. But don't worry, you're getting information for everybody. All right, somebody is saying that not all women go through all the symptoms I'm speaking about. Some are different. Is that true?
Of course. Of course. Every person is different and will experience menopause, other sickness differently.
Okay.
Because we are individual, we are created differently, so you will experience it differently. Not everybody get these symptoms at all. Some people doesn't get any symptoms.
Oh.
I know I was
God,
speaking
I
to a
wanna be one of
lady
those.
I was speaking to a lady and she said she don't have any symptoms.
Oh.
Her period just ceased. No, some people get the excessive bleeding sometimes and so, and you know, the dreaded mood swings, but some people say they don't get anything.
And I've heard of cases where people have mental issues.
Oh yes,
with
the mental issue is a big thing. People do get mental breakdown. When I say mental breakdown, like, you know, when you say you had a fit of craziness, that's the term we use. You know,
The
people
madness.
do like experience that, a bit of madness, and totally lose it. There are people who never was hypertensive and become very hypertensive during that period. The pressure just
Okay.
raises. Yeah, and a number of things like bloatedness. They become very bloated, but all has to do with the estrogen and sometimes other hormones too. But the estrogen and progesterone level is the main thing, and for the male is the testosterone.
Okay.
Once those decrease, you get a lot of symptoms, indigestion, bloatedness, and all of these things you get that really affect you, and it will affect the family, because if a person doesn't understand what they're going through, and they react, because the mood swing, you react to situation, you might be good and calm now, next minute something happen and you flare up.
Right.
That affect the family.
But you know, as you're speaking there, and my mind kind of going back to the hormones. Hormones help balance a lot of things in your body, not so?
Yes,
So if they're
yes.
off balance, if they're no longer being produced in a quantity, all right, I
You
kind of
get-
remember in my biology
Yes,
days back in
yes,
school.
yes.
So
you get
it
that.
means that it will cause, you know,
And
mood
lots of
swings
upset.
and all different things going on in your body because it's
Yeah.
chemical changes.
Yes,
So
yes.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. All right, we have another comment, or I don't know if to call it a question, but somebody's asking, they would like to know how can they manage or assist, or I'm giving a better word because I don't like the word manage, their wife in that season. How can they help? How can they help?
The important thing is to know that your wife is going through this change. Try to get some information about it and try to, you know, walk with her.
Okay.
Understand what she's going through. And one of the important thing in helping with this, especially the extreme symptoms, is your diet and exercise and learning to have fun time and all of that. So you have to research the information and see what you're seeing, what she's experiencing,
Right.
and how you can assist her as she go through that trial. That
Okay.
I don't call it trial, that's kind of challenge.
Because I understand, we can look at it this way, right? Excuse me. Both the man and the woman has to go through some kind of changes at some point. There may
Yes.
be marriages where you might find maybe the woman is older, the man is older, and even if they are around the same age, they both might not go through,
Same
symptoms
time.
at the same time. So at some point, somebody is going to have to be understanding and, comforting and assisting in some way. So I think education is very
It's very
important.
important, yeah.
We have to understand these are the symptoms, read up on it, find as much information as you can so that you know when you see the symptoms, we
What
can
you can
assist
do.
each other.
But
Right.
just to point out again that the men, not all men, experience the andropause symptoms.
Okay.
They will have the decrease in the hormone, but they may not experience all these symptoms. Just as some women would not.
Okay.
Yeah, but the men still maintain some level of production of testosterone,
Okay.
but with the female, the estrogen level goes totally down. No egg is produced.
Okay.
The men can still fertilize
Oh, okay, okay.
until the infertility occurs with the persons with andropause symptoms.
Okay.
Because you have men in the 80s, 90s having children.
Oh.
Yeah, but a woman that reach 60, meaning 51 is the hallmark age for when period cease in a woman.
Okay.
But they can have women who may go over that, as well as some people become menopausal very early, which is premature menopause, right?
Okay.
But for some of the men, they can still be productive, and not everybody in the male experience the andropause with all the symptoms and all of that.
I have another question along that line. We know that for women, at a certain age, girls start their period, right?
Yeah.
Does that affect the menopause age? Because I know the menopause age is maybe about 40 to 60 thereabout.
Yes.
All right.
yes,
So
yeah.
if a girl starts her period a little earlier or a little later, does that
Affects
affect?
It does. It
Okay.
does affect, right? Because if a person get a period very early, sometimes they stop. They go through menopause earlier too.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it makes sense too, because if you're born with a certain amount of eggs and you start
Releasing early,
releasing
yes.
early,
Yeah, so yeah,
right? So it means
They
that
would
you would
finish a little earlier than
right.
Yes,
Right. It makes
yes.
sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Mhm.
So guys, if you have any questions, again, the number is 403-1031. Today we're talking all about menopause and a little bit of andropause as well.
Yes.
All right, so we throw it in a little bit there for the
For
guys
the
as
men.
well, for the men.
Yeah.
All right, so it's mainly menopause, but we're talking about andropause as well.
Yes.
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 So
Okay.
just to talk a little bit more about the symptoms.
Okay.
Yes. For the men, their motivation is decreased. They're not motivated to do things as they used to.
Okay.
Difficulty in sleeping, both men and women experience that.
Okay.
And when we talk difficulty in sleeping, insomnia, we talking about sometimes you may go to sleep and then you wake up during the night, you cannot fall back asleep.
Oh.
You wake up very early. You have difficulty falling asleep, and sometimes you feel so tired when you wake up because of the whole insomnia process.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
I talk about the bloating and the weight gain, and all of that is because of the hormone. Everything is because of the hormone.
So during that time, you have to have a lot of lifestyle changes.
Oh yes,
and
oh yes. I was going to go into that a little bit, but yes, you do have to make lifestyle changes. You have to make lifestyle changes. It's not how you cope with your children, because and for the woman too, you have to educate yourself and understand where you're having the mood swing. But let me tell you, that is sometimes so hard, because I remember I was more premenstrual syndrome heading into the premenopausal, and the mood swings. I never got it. It's only after I said, but that could have been because it's perimenopause. Because you're dead good and something happened and you get upset and you flare up. And you never remember. And that happens because we don't think that we need to check how we react to situation all the time, and we just tend to react. And so, you react. I remember going to work sometime, and my friend and they might be coworker might make two joke with me, and I'm crying. I'm upset.
Oh,
I'm upset.
okay.
And it's only afterwards I'm saying, gosh, is that?
Okay. A little too
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah. And you don't really, sometimes you get in those things and it's only after
Yes.
you're thinking, it's because of that this is
Right.
happening with me.
Yes.
So you have to know it and be conscious.
Okay. All right. So people that are more or less, and well, it's not that you're unaware, but you need to be more conscious. People that are not conscious of what's going on with themselves can get carried away with all of that.
Yes.
Because you get
yes.
emotionally, and people, somebody just do something just
Slight.
kind of slight, and you just overreact.
Yes.
So we have
yes.
to be careful. We have to think deeply, and for the husbands and wives, when be on the
Somebody
lookout.
step back. Yeah,
Yes,
somebody step
be on
back
the
in those
lookout.
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
I just like
Yes.
to go back a little on what Lynette said about sometimes both husband and wife might be going through the similar situation changes
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yes.
And a lot of clashes can take place because with all the mood swings and all the different things.
Right.
So I think it's so important that we understand what's happening, and this education is so important. So that you know what's happening, so you know how to deal with it and how to react with each other.
Yes.
And
They
how
say
to-
80% of divorce occurs
Around this
during
time.
that midlife time. 80%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
That says something.
suicide is another thing. Depression leading to suicide is another thing that
Wow.
occurs in those age group.
Wow. This is alarming. This is alarming. Okay.
So the consciousness, being aware, and not just having the information, but being self-aware.
Yes. That's important.
This
yeah.
this is happening to me. I
Yes.
wonder what is happening. You have to start to question yourself. I wonder if I'm dealing with it right. And two, check with your doctor. Have a discussion with your doctor. I'm going through this. I'm having this feelings. I don't have any sexual drive. I am depressed. I am moody. What is happening with me?
Okay.
Have a chat with a help personnel.
Okay. And as you mentioned that, do you know of some of the treatments there might possibly be treatments
Oh yeah, there
or
is.
to assist in some way, medically?
Yes.
Are there some medical treatments?
There
maybe?
is hormone replacement therapy. I am not too sure how much Grenadian doctors recommend it,
Okay.
but there is a tablet that you can get with the hormone, estrogen, and testosterone.
Okay.
And there is the patches, there are gels, implant, and injection. But you must have a discussion with your doctor because
yes,
these will
of
always
course.
have their side effects too.
Of
There's
course.
psychological support that you can get. So you can go to a counselor, we have more counselors around now, chat with somebody. And the main advice is on lifestyle changes, taking a positive attitude to what's happening with you.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I know we spoke about the age for menopause. We say around 40 and upwards, around 40 to 60 thereabouts, right? But there are some persons, and I know we spoke about, okay, if a woman maybe start her period a little earlier, the menopause might come a little earlier, but are there other instances or other things that might cause menopause to come on a little earlier besides the...
Oh, yeah, there are. There are a number of things that may come on earlier. For example, hysterectomy. A person might have to have a hysterectomy for one reason or the next. It could be cancer. It could be fibroids.
What's a hysterectomy again?
Hysterectomy is the total removal of the uterus and ovary.
Okay.
Not all the time they take out all of the ovary, but you can have premature menopause or early menopause. You can have surgical menopause, where what we just speak about. A person might have cancer and PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, fibroid, and they might have to remove the organs. Or they can be natural, which is what we're talking about, the natural with the reduction of the estrogen.
Could it be genetic too? Sometimes
Genetic could play a role. Yes. No, early menopause could happen in the teens.
Ooh.
Yes, as early as in the teens.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, this is alarming.
They say premature ovarian failure. where a woman just totally stop producing egg, and that could happen, and stop ovulating, and no eggs, just early. And I've had discussion with a number of young ladies over the years that it has happened to, and sometimes cystic fiber ovary polycystic disease
Yes.
too. Yes, and then again, if you have cancer, ovarian cancer or uterine cancer, they will have to remove the
Okay.
organs, and you can go into menopause because of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. So it's not just the age, because that
Yeah.
teenage thing just kind of shocked me right
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So things can go wrong, and then people just stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they start aging. And
They-
they start looking as
They put on weight
Put
with
on weight.
mostly the ones, the teenagers
Mhm.
with the failure. They put on a lot of weight on the gut, and so
okay.
Mm.
yeah.
This is interesting. We have a question from one of our listeners. What advice can you give to a spouse who is trying to get their husband or their wife to accept what they are experiencing, that they are experiencing menopause symptoms? So sometimes you have somebody that they're in denial, maybe. I don't know.
But the
How
thing
do you-
is, if you go to a counselor, or you can go to your doctor, and let the person come with you. If it's a woman experiencing it and the husband may be failing to accept it, is important that he gets to understand that, and she
Alright.
can take him to her doctor with
Okay.
her.
So it's
the
professional
doctor,
advice, more or less. Yes.
advise
Yes.
him as to what is happening so he could understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if not, a counselor could probably help you, you know. But the first thing is your gynecologist, obstetrician, or
Right.
just your general GP.
Yes.
General
I think that's
practitioner.
important, because
Yeah.
sometimes even if you go to a counselor, the spouse might be in denial. What is
Yes.
counselor know about
Yes, get the evidence from
Yes,
the appropriate
the
person.
hardcore evidence.
Hardcore, yes.
This is once it come from the mouth of the doctor, then they'll be more convinced.
And you know, people tend
Yes.
to, if the doctor say this is it. So when the
Yes.
doctor say it, they believe it. Although
Right.
sometimes they ain't totally listening to the doctor. They have to come back to the nurses to
Right.
explain what doctor say there. You have to
Yes.
explain it a little more. But get the first word from the doctor. Where this is what is happening to your wife, or this is what is happening to your husband, and expect that she will have all these experience. So is understanding and support.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes, that's important. Definitely. Oh yes. All right. So we spoke about medicines that can take place. We spoke about counseling. We spoke about some of the symptoms and so that people go through. You know,
What a,
Lifestyle. I want to
yeah,
go
what about
Lifestyle
the diet,
changes.
yeah, and
Yes.
diet, yeah.
Yeah.
yes, big
Yes.
thing there.
So your lifestyle. One of the important things is that you have to, if you're not drinking water, I'm not a water drinker myself, start to increase. Try some way that you can increase drinking more fluids in a day.
I'm
Because
thinking
remember,
it will
you're
help
sweating
a lot.
profusely.
Yes.
Yes, and then the water helps,
Yeah, because
tranquilizes.
you lose a lot of liquid. You need to
Yeah.
replenish your body.
Replenish,
Yeah.
yes. You avoid coffee. Cut down the coffee, because
Wow.
coffee tend to make you nervous and
Dehydrated.
dehydrated and all of that. All right. Make sure your bowel is moved regularly, and to get that to happen, you have to eat high fiber diet. High fiber meaning that you have fruits and vegetable being a mainstay, important in your diet. Though, so we tend to pass over eating the lettuce and eating a little tomatoes. We tend to pass it over. Make it part of your meal.
Oh, yes.
Morning, midday, and evening time. Sometimes instead of having something sweet like a slice of cake, probably do a bowl of salad.
Okay.
Yeah, you put some cuts of little meat in it, or not necessarily, and tend not to use the fatty foods. Cut down on fatty foods.
Okay.
The red meat fats are not always healthy, so even if you're eating red meat, I don't say don't eat it. You eat some of it, watch the amount you're eating, and watch the fat content in your food.
Okay.
You avoid too much of fries and oils, because that help you put on weight, and you're already putting on weight because of the hormone change.
Right.
So you have to look at how you could reduce that. Right? So you avoid skipping meals. People tend to say, I don't eat Some people take
Don't
breakfast
eat
and
bread,
they
yes.
go whole day. Balance your meal. If you eat small meals, because what people tend to do, they don't eat whole day, and then in the evening time, you load
you
up your
binge.
system, yes,
Yeah.
and then your body going to sleep.
Right.
And then the body have to be fighting to digest and break down this
Yes,
meal.
yes.
So try to eat small meals throughout your day.
Right.
Right? Reduce on the refined carbohydrates, the white sugar, white bread, the white pasta, the rice. Reduce on this. Use more of our local vegetables, the provision. If you eat a piece of dasheen
It fills
and
you
fig,
up. Mhm.
it fills you and it take a long time to break down.
Right.
The process of breaking down that take a longer while, and you get some fiber in it.
Right.
Whereas when you eat white rice or potato, which is the English potato, it digests very quickly. You get a surge of sugar into your system that your body not really able to cope with one time. So you get that surge. You do not use it for energy purposes. So it stores as fat. Again, you put on some weight there again.
Okay.
Right? So you look at those. You avoid the spicy food, alcohol, strong teas, and coffee. So you have to look at what you're doing. Look at exercising. How much do we exercise? Right? Are we exercising?
Okay.
Do we take opportunity to exercise? At least 30 minutes a day will help you, huh? So if you get up and you might be going somewhere, I tend to walk up. Sometimes I let my husband drop me at the bottom of the print tree and I will walk up. I look for opportunities. That's what we should do. Look
To
for
exercise.
opportunities to exercise. If you do not have a set program, you can go to the gym, yes. You can get up and go to the beach.
Right.
You can take the bus, drop a certain distance, and walk into where you live in.
Right.
So look at opportunities where you would get to walk, because exercise releases that endorphin, that hormone again. We're talking hormones still. It releases endorphin. Endorphin is called the happy hormone, so it will help with your mood swings.
Okay, nice.
So exercising is really important to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Another question coming in from one of our listeners. What are some of the positive and also some of the negative impacts of menopause? And they're asking also the impacts of menopause on family. What are some of the implications of the family, maybe the children? How it affects the children? We spoke a little bit about the husband and the wife, but what about the impact on the children and other members of family?
The children will be impacted if due to menopause and not understanding that the parent end up divorced. That's one thing. According to how mommy and daddy is coping, and if there is regular quarreling in the
Right.
home, that again will affect the children. If mommy is shouting at her children and might be calling them names because she gets so irritated, that again impact their self-esteem and everything. If she is tired and she's not getting help, and so she had to force to do all the housework, that will affect her health. So sometimes she might find she lying down and she not cooking the way she used to cook. The family should all pipe in now to give her that support. So, okay, mommy, today you cannot make it to cook. You take a rest today and let us help to cook. Tell us what to do. So that's why it's important that even you in your daily life you start teaching the children early to cut up the onions,
Right.
peel the potato,
Yes.
do little things. Give them age-appropriate activity so they get involved. So when you get to this point, and it has to start way back, even with the diet and so, way back to get children involved, husband involved. Let cooking be a family thing, not
Yes.
just a mommy thing.
Yes. I
Let
agree.
other housework and house chores, not mommy washing the clothes and spreading out and your children sit down. Be part of it. Be
Right.
part of the family life. So that when mommy has to really take a rest, that she can do that peacefully and
Right.
not because mommy feel guilty when she is not doing the housework and the stuff that she's supposed to. She feels obligated to as the mommy.
Yes.
Yes,
Sure.
so she needs to know that she can ease off and take a rest because she's fatigued because of all the changes that is going on.
True.
That she can ease off comfortably
True.
Because she has the support.
because she has the
Right.
support.
I just wanted
So-
to go back a little bit on the hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Where you talk about the endorphin and the serotonin and all those
Yes.
happy hormones.
Yes.
Is there like vitamins and so you can use to?
There are vitamins that you can use. I can't remember exact vitamins, but once you are having a balanced diet, you can take things like your B complexes. You can take the vitamin E. You can and you combine those with your vitamin C, which will help with the absorption of those things, and your iron. And once your iron level is at a good level, the heme, it will help. So having a balanced diet, the fibers again, the high fiber foods will have some of these hormones in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Another thing with the menopausal woman and the children, how she is thinking, how she's processing her thoughts, and how she sees. Me remembers too the self-esteem gone down,
Depression, all of
and
that
the
coming in.
depression.
Yes.
So a woman have to start to think positive, start changing your whole mindset. Don't see menopause as the end of life. Don't see menopause as I'm not a woman anymore. This is a time when you can take a different approach to life. You look at how you can develop yourself personally. So you take a positive approach, and if you take a positive approach, you will impact your children positively.
Nice.
So you have to look at that.
And how about your dressing and all of that?
Maintain your dress.
Yes.
Try to maintain your dress. Don't become
Yeah.
floppy. Yes, you're putting on weight around the waist, and so sometimes it's difficult to find things, but you have to see what you. Sometimes I kind of vain. I go to Oprah. I watch Oprah, and for age, Oprah and other shows, and I go on YouTube, and they have multiple advice as to how you can dress to suit your figure and what you should change, and what way that enhances how you look. So it's important to do that. Don't feel, yes, it might be vain, but sometimes you have to take care of yourself.
I think that is important because a lot of times when you get older, your body is not the same.
It's not the same, and you feel you have to dress in floppy and big and heavy clothes that takes away from your figure. Nothing wrong in wearing not tight and over tight, but something comfortably fitted.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you have to look and feel your best.
Feel your
Yes.
best.
Yes. Yes.
And how you feel will impact how you respond to your children and the rest of your family and your
Yes.
colleagues.
Take a little time for yourself, do a spa treatment, get a
yes.
little massage, do a
Yes.
pedicure, a manicure, a facial, do something nice
do
for
up your-
yourself
do
and
up
make yourself
yourself.
feel good.
Yes.
So that's all a part of it.
And I want to say that it's no crime taking care of yourself
Not
and
at all.
taking a day off for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
by all means.
Yes, yes.
That it's so true that, as parents, as mother, sometimes you feel, oh gosh, that money could have spent on this, that money could have spent on that. Take some time
Don't
off
do
for
yourself
yourself.
that. Don't do yourself that.
Yeah.
If
You
mommy's
deserve
gone,
it.
if mommy's gone, who's gonna be doing the cooking or the whatever mommy was doing? Take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Self-care is
It's
very
important, yes.
Yes.
They say go out and laugh with your friends. Have some time for you where you go to your friends and have some laugh time.
Oh, yes.
Just, like, was it Thursday or so? One of my ex-co-worker came in by me, and we just went to town. Giggle at foolishness.
You have to take time so you can laugh.
Yes.
Because
yes.
laughing does a lot for you.
Laughing
Oh,
does
yes.
a lot for you. Yes.
Laughter is good medicine, the Bible
Right.
says.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Less
yes.
stress. All right. We have a couple of comments here, so let me just take them in quickly. All right. First of all, would it be better if a woman take these tips into consideration before menopause? I think this person is referring to exercise and diet and all of that. Some of these tips instead of waiting
yes.
until menopause
yes.
to start eating right and exercising.
Oh, yes. So menopause does not become a challenge, because if you adopt those healthy lifestyle from way before, from even childhood,
Right.
a woman, a young woman should start learning to take care of herself, exercise, and doing all these things, even way before.
Oh,
so by the time menopause come, you're living well.
Normal
So you
lifestyle,
adjust. Yes.
And another question is that, or comment and question, some Christians can see this as an attack of the enemy. So what advice can you give on the importance of balancing the body's normal function with spiritual issues? Because, you know, sometimes everything we can become a little over spiritual and say spiritual attack. Yes.
Sometimes I ask people, sometimes, you know, you put yourself under all these restrictions. Did God ask you to do that? Is that in the Bible where you're putting yourself under some of the restriction that you put yourself under?
Right.
It's okay for you to treat yourself well.
Yes.
It's okay to eat healthy. It's okay to dress well. We're not saying go and dress, you know, extreme, tight and revealing clothes.
Right.
You keep within the context of what the Bible requires of us to live
Yes.
healthy. And the Bible did tell us to live healthy and to enjoy life. You don't take it to the extreme where you go into nightclubs. No, you live within the standards that God recommends. But God never recommended that we live unhappy and unhealthy. So when you make the right choices, you consider the word of God to in living and how you live. And even with the whole impact of menopause and the depression, if you understand what you're going through, and that's what God, the Bible asks us to search His word and to understand how we live in. If you understand what you're going through and you have knowledge of what you're going through, then you're able to cope with it and not put a taboo on it, because
Right.
people tend to put this taboo that is like something is wrong with you, or you become demonic or something.
Right.
Some people do have mental problem that may seem to be, you know, extreme, or some people put it in the category of demonic. But remember, the hormone level changes,
Right.
and depression has to do with your hormone level again too, changing in the brain too. So once that hormone level changes, you tend to get the mental problem that may seem,
Right.
but it's not some taboo of, you know, witchcraft or all of those things. We tend to say it's witchcraft and all those things. Mental illness is real illnesses, and it has to do with your hormone level too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's not just
We can spiritualize everything.
Everything.
That's why the Bible says, tell the men to deal with your wife according to knowledge.
Right.
And
So-
to love your wife above all.
As Christ loved the church.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's important to get to understand what your wife is going through to give her that support.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And another comment here is that grandparents would struggle with grandchildren if they are not aware of these things. You know, so you're either way, I could see it on both sides. Like the grandchildren, they're not aware of what's happening maybe with grandma, or depending on how old your grandparent is, because we have some young grandparents,
yes.
you know, and you know, the grandparents might take on a different attitude based on what they're going through. You know, if they're the ones going through that menopause at the time, you know, the grandmother or whoever. So some level of education needs to take place.
So again, it all involves you doing the research when your church or your community have some education session about menopause. Also, you avail yourself to it.
Right.
If you speak to your doctor, get information, or your nurse in the community, get the information that you need. With the Ministry of Health Promotion Division, we do have some leaflet on menopause people can get to read, as well as we have World World
Wide Web.
you can do the research.
Oh, yes.
YouTube have lots of information.
yes.
You go NHS, you can go CDC, you can go WHO, PAHO sites, and you will get lots of information to help you. Use the resources that you have.
Amen.
Yes, yes.
All right, so don't leave it up to what you hear people saying. You know, they people tend to, you know, in the past and even today, all right, based on what they hear on the street or what people have been saying, they just go with that kind of knowledge.
No.
Educate yourself, all right?
Do
Get
your
the
research.
facts.
Get the facts.
Get the facts. Get the facts. Don't go on what people say or what you hear your grandmother say or what you hear this man say or that woman say.
Yeah, and get the facts from authentic
Sources,
sites and
right.
sources.
Yes.
Yeah. Because WHO is World Health Organization, PAHO is Pan American Health Organization, that's for the
Right.
Caribbean. CDC is American major research source. NHS is a National Health Services. I think it's based in the UK. So those are good sources for information. YouTube, you have to look at where you're getting it from. YouTube, there are some health sources, some universities sources, and so that you can tune into when you download it, you look at where you're getting the source from and you utilize those.
All right. Another comment here. Thank you for dealing with the mental impact of this, because it is real. It is real. Having seen it, loving persons in that season of life can help them recover.
Yeah.
All right. So once we understand, once we have the knowledge and the understanding of what mommy is going through, what because we talk about the men too, what daddy is going through, what grandma is going through, or what whoever in your life, my wife, my husband, whatever they're going through, you have the knowledge. You can then apply that knowledge. So it's not just about knowing, it's about using the knowledge and applying.
Yes,
so you'll be understanding, you try to assist in what way you can, you'll be as loving as possible, all right? And you treat these
people
persons
well. You treat them kindly.
And also, family time and spending time together, doing activities that will, create a bond and laughter and joy among as a family time.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Just want to point out, when the men experience this, as I said earlier, they tend to run and we tend to beat up on them.
Yes.
Remember, they're struggling to cope.
Yes.
Because they themselves may not understand what they're going through.
Right.
And then, they just want to prove themselves. I'm still a man. I'm still healthy. I still can do it, And we tend to beat up on them. Not that sometimes if they take the time, step back and assess themselves and see what is going on. But they're not even thinking there.
True.
So sometimes you have to be supportive. And sometimes you find, I am guilty of it too, that we beat up on them.
Right.
We beat up on our men way too much. Try to understand where he's coming from. And sometimes for women, sometimes the men turn to go to a young woman. They might leave their older wife and go to a younger woman. Are you nagging him? Although you don't want to blame yourself, but try to understand what is happening with him. And maybe if you go to a professional, then probably he wouldn't run as fast to find somebody else. So not that I'm putting the responsibility on the woman, but we have to understand our partner. And two, the men have to take responsibility. I'm feeling this way. Does it answer my problem to run off and pick up somebody younger? I'm having these experiences. Can I be open with my wife and talk to her about what I'm going through? And so we, the woman, have to be accommodating to let him speak and listen.
Yeah, I think that's very important. That you be very approachable and easy to talk to as a spouse.
Don't judge him and beat up on your hair thing and you start to beat up one time.
Yeah, because a lot of times you find around that time your self-esteem sort of dropping. You start to worry and you might think, he watching somebody else because look, I'm getting old. Look, I'm not as young and look before. You start to get worried and insecure.
Yeah, and because you're insecure.
And because you're insecure, you would tend to, start picking and nagging and saying things.
And drawing back.
And all those things. And withdrawing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're creating the atmosphere for this sort of infidelity and opening for infidelity and all those things.
The devil just need a little crack in the doorway to come in and stir up much confusion.
True, very true. Very true. One of our listeners is saying they're looking forward to the men's session next week. Are we having a whole session on andropause next week?
The symptoms are very much alike for the men as well as the women. So unless you want to solve men issues, but you can always ask the question if you have a man issue you want to ask.
Maybe we need a program for issues with men. Maybe we need
and bring men on.
Yes.
So prepare men.
Oh yes. 2 hours. 2 hours. A 2-hour program. Okay, it looked like
that's good. If men ready to talk, give them the chance because they don't really talk much as women would talk.
And they don't seek health care as much as women.
It's
and that's a problem. And one of the complications of andropause and menopause is cardiac involvement, heart diseases, because sometimes your pressure gets so high, the heart not working as well, or sometimes it gets erratic, quite rapid heartbeat and then slow down, so you get bradycardia and arrhythmias and all of those things. And this is the age where men tend to get a lot of strokes, as well as women too, because if you're aggravating and you're having the mood swings and the hormone is swinging all over the place, it tends to affect the heart too, and you can get a stroke, you can get heart attack and all these things. So you have to watch it. It's control again. You have to watch all these factors.
Okay. All right. So a lot of information.
A lot of food for thought. A lot of food for thought.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, wonderful. This has been very inspiring and knowledgeable. A lot of information there, especially when we just started off. And I knew about this before, but I'm glad that you mentioned it and we spoke a little bit about it, because I thought we were just going to talk about women today. But I'm glad that you brought the fact forward that this also happens to men, because there are a lot of men out there that are unaware. They think it's just a woman thing.
Yes.
It's just menopause, and there's nothing happening to the man. But yes, things happen to the men as well.
You are going through too.
Oh, yes.
And it's for them to accept it, to cope with it better and different. That we do not have all this breakup and in the family. That this is and certain things happening to you, you can say probably is this that is happening to me,
right?
So
now you're aware. Know that you're aware.
Yes.
Go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor. Please, men, go to the doctor and have a discussion.
Yes.
About your health.
Oh yes.
So well, I guess Mrs. Street, we have to invite you back next week, God's willing. So the men can get talk a little bit more about the issues that will affect men around that age.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we can also get a man as
man,
well,
yes.
let's
to
see
be
if we
here,
can.
because we talk about the prostrate and all those things that the enlarged prostrate that happen around this time. There's a lot of issues that will happen around this time, and that they should know how to deal.
The testes shrink. The testes become smaller. The gonad, they call it hypogonadism. So the testes really shrink. And that's when it doesn't produce as much as it's supposed to.
Okay. So there's a lot of information.
Yes.
So guys, if you want to hear more about these issues and more about families and more about what you can do to keep yourself healthy in whatever age or stage you're at, all right, Team Family. That's our program. Somebody was asking earlier. Somebody said they didn't hear what the TEAM stands for, but it stands for Together We Educate, Affirm, and Motivate Families.
Yes.
All right. So we're educating, we're affirming, and we're motivating families. All right. That's what Team Family is all about. All right. So thank you again for joining us. I don't know if Aloma.
Yes.
All right. I keep forgetting the name. If you have any last comments you'd like to share just before we close today.
Yes. So just to remind you that both men and women goes through woman menopause, male andropause. You both experience similar symptoms. It's important to be aware of what you're going through and understand it so you can cope better. It's important that you stay connected with family and not isolate yourself even when you're experiencing symptoms that may lead you to feel that you want to pull aside. Stick with your family, explain what is happening to you, get a doctor to speak with your husband or to even have a family session so that everybody can work together so we live healthier lives. Thank you for having me. I hope I enlighten and assist you in understanding whatever stage you are, that you just need to live healthy and to understand your own self.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the information, and it's really a lot to think about.
Yes.
And I believe it will help a lot of people, all these listeners out there who would have heard and be able to reflect on it and to be able to start making the lifestyle changes, your diet and with the exercise and all those things, which will be helpful to you and to your family.
All right. So thank you again, guys. Those of you listening out there on YouTube, on Facebook, on our webpage, www.hopefmgrenada.com. For those of you who have not yet subscribed to our YouTube or Facebook pages, go straight to the page, or if you're there right now, don't be afraid to click on that subscribe button and also on the notification, the bell. All right, because even if you subscribe, sometimes when the programs come on, you're not notified. So you need to click on the notification button to be sure that you're notified when we have these programs. All right, and keep listening to Hope FM. All right, where we're high on praise and exaltation. Blessings to you all. And have a good evening. We'll see you next week again. God's will.
Thank you. God bless.
Blessings.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me, family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning.
Hope 103.1 presents Spreading Hope, a fundraising event geared towards extending the geographical reach of our radio frequency. Come and enjoy our local artists: Spice Worship Ministry, Kamara Jordan, Birch Grove New Testament Church of God, Kunta Kinte the artist, Minister Corey George, and Gateway Pan Orchestra. Also featuring from Trinidad and Tobago, The Fire General, Blessed Messenger, and Jedediah. Get your tickets now and be a part of the great gospel celebration to help us reach our goal in spreading the message of hope to the world. Saturday, November 5th, Gateway Assemblies, Point Celine, St. George's, 7 p.m. sharp. Cost of the tickets, $45. Your ticket outlet: JDIA Pharmacy, Bruce Street Mall, Grenadian Optical, Spiceland Mall, the Guelph Open Bible Church, and Clevision, Grenville, St. Andrew. Saturday, November 5th, Gateway Assemblies in Point Celine, St. George's, 7 p.m. sharp. Be there.